people looking to see Piglet in the LCS, or was this more of like we want to get Moon sometime in the LCS alone?
Yep. Hard to say, of course, but we'll have to see. I think in general, Clutch Twitter a little bit. You know, they're trying to use their whole organization, which I think is a move a lot of teams have kind of trended towards, which is good to see.
Yeah.
Certainly seen way more Academy players playing up than we have in recent seasons.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of reasons for that. One, every team is now forced to have an Academy roster with franchising. Two, the relegation system is no longer there. So if you are a team like Clutch in the LCS, who is by all means still in the running, that's a roster you never would have tampered with in old LCS when you could have potentially gotten relegated. But here, with the backups that you have available, with the fact that you feel like you're slipping behind the pack and you need something to jolt you back in, whether it's just energy or new players, whatever it is, you now have the option to make that decision.
We'll have a look at the rest of the bans. Aatrox is left up, by the way, because Morgana, Varus, Trundle, and Talia were the next four.
Show me it, Max Strobo.
Show me it to you. There it is. Aatrox, first pick.
First time in North America we're playing Aatrox, including through Rift Rivals, and I think it got through Academy on one of the off-broadcast games a couple times. But I think on broadcast, this is the first Aatrox that we are playing in North America.
I believe you're correct. Obviously, Mark is referring to reworked Aatrox, very different champion from the one we saw. I knew what you were talking about.
The World Ender! As opposed to the
other guy.
Darkened Blade, which I think was old.
I think, yes, I think that's right. What would you rather be? A Blade or Ender of Worlds?
I would rather be a Darkened Blade, dude.
Yeah?
World Ender feels like a lot of responsibility. Like, if you're not ending worlds, you're just a failure. The Darkened Blade guy was just like, I'm gonna find war and I'm gonna mess some stuff up. That's what I do. World Ender, I don't know, just I don't like responsibility.
That is accurate. As Kindred locked in there for OpTic, Jin gonna join her. Actually surprised not to see that much Jin today.
Yeah, it was something that was with the Hail of Blades buff, something that was getting a lot of play on 813, and then feels like with all the other changes that happened, people kind of just let it fall to the wayside. A lot of Tahm Kench is being banned, which was what you usually paired it with, probably is part of it, but definitely a strong champion and has a lot of good matchups into marksman, so probably going to see a lot more of it.
Here's Zoe as well being picked up for Sun. We'll see what else comes. I feel like, I mean, actually these first four picks are very powerful for both these teams, so kind of a lot of power being traded with some more specific bans being used here. And Tahm Kench, like you mentioned, going to get stolen away.
Yeah, we'll see how this works out, because sometimes you're like, yeah, we're going to steal this thing away and deny you, but then it doesn't really work with the rest of your comp. So we'll have to see if Clutch Gaming are still able to put together a cohesive bot lane with that Tahm Kench, but does feel bad for OpTic. If you were Eclipse looking forward to that extra protection, not going to get it anymore.
No, instead Orianna going to be the selection here for Palafox. Certainly rises back up. Zoe is pretty good in general, but Orianna can hold her own in almost every matchup.
Pretty mismatched lanes here, all things considered now. Only the mid laners being matched. And for the side of Clutch Gaming, I'm going to be interested to see if they ban out top laners after already locking in the Aatrox. The thing about him before was that like he wins every matchup is what everyone says. He's unbeatable. And so if that still holds true, you actually don't need to invest any bans into that. And you can actually continue to pinch the support pool now after that Tahm Kench pick away and stop them from getting things like the Soraka, which can also work very well with the Jin pick. So I'm interested to see what they do. Instead, they ban out tops.
Yeah, they ban Mundo at least, so we'll see if there's another one being banned. Graves the ban on the side for OpTic, taking that away from Lyra though.
See if they go with the Gragas as well. Like we said last game, they went for the Trundle ban. It's already banned out this time, as well as the fact that Gragas had been working pretty well in the early game for Lyra in the LCS. And the fact it soft counters Kindred in some ways. Hopefully we see that one hit the ban table. See what they go for.
Kindred has a lot of soft counters. Turns out you just shoot them and it doesn't really matter whether or not they can get your ulti. And Ashe ban's kind of a curious one though for OpTic. You mentioned Ashe kind of on the rise. Apollo going to get that option taken away.
Yeah, so a little surprising given the first jungle ban. You thought they would have committed to the jungle pinch. Instead, just trying to ban out some of the most powerful each role remaining. And Apollo, being a very good marksman player, has always worked his best when he is able to work with his team. And so the Ashe pick being a great initiation tool makes sense that they are pinching that away from him.
See if he goes to Varus or some such. Certainly options are left available with not too many taken away. And with the support pool just pinched a little with the Braum takeaway in phase 2. They do take Alistar here for Gate, like you said. Very serviceable support. Basically any CC is good with Jin, so...
Yeah, I'm a little surprised to see neither person pinching the other pool hard. You know, the fact that they were banning 2 separate roles with each of their bans means that, you know, Ezreal is still fine. You know, maybe you should have done Ezreal, Ashe, Varus, Ashe, something like that. So now he's probably going to take Gragas and just be perfectly happy with that as well. So we'll be curious to see if these teams kind of regret their decisions to not go harder on the champ pools.
Well, 5 seconds left. Gragas is the lock-in, so Clutch kind of doing what we expect here. Kind of fun to see Power in the solo lane is here for Clutch Gaming Academy, given that the 3 players that moved down were in every position but top and mid.
Yeah. Max Trobo has actually been doing pretty well recently in Academy, has been winning a lot of games for them, and getting one of the most powerful picks in the meta is another chance to continue that trend. And the fact that we haven't seen it before, we even saw it kind of slip, not technically slip through pick and ban phase, but it went through all of phase 1. So I'm happy to see that someone is still playing it, and I want to see Max Trobo kind of punish them for daring to play chicken with them.
Well, there's Poppy actually left up here. Seems to follow a lot of logic where Poppy wants to be picked in these kind of dashy bruises.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if the Poppy will actually work out, because while Aatrox does have 2 dashes that he can use to reposition, it's kind of hard to predict when those are going to come out and react to them, because they're so short that by the time you see him start jolting forward, when you press W, he's already probably used most of his dash, if you even stop it at all. His ult doesn't rely on dashes at all. It just gives you move speed, and Aatrox can just run at you. So I don't think that the W will be too effective against the Aatrox. I think it's more just about finding the best tank champion in the game right now when it's not Mundo, and that is probably Poppy. So I think that's probably the bigger reason that we see it.
Yep, Aloran back to tanks, on kind of falling out of favor in the meta a little bit, so we don't see as much of Kim. And especially against Max Trobo, who is going to be looking to take over that top lane. You want to be careful. Fun stuff. I think this is like pretty illustrative team comps on this kind of patch. Many more marksmen in the bot lane.
Yep, both teams having different strategies here. OpTic is largely a front-to-back kind of team fighting team comp, with Clutch Gaming have a lot more poke. We've seen the Zoe Ezreal composition earlier in the day being very difficult to push up against. But OpTic have the front line to hopefully be able to body block some of that and buy space for the Jhin. And that's before you get into the early game plans that can be coming out here, as I expect Max Trobo to try and make some plays early on.
Well, looks like everyone's fanning out, so I don't think an invade is on the table right now. Fox just going to hang out and see what he can see here in mid lane. He's going Corrupting Potion. We've seen, again, a bit more of this. And also we saw Ares of it already today, this time Electrocute for Sun. With also Inspiration secondary, but Doran's Ring instead. Turns out, Lotus Sustain is good in mid lane, but by the way.
Yep, Inspiration, a great secondary rune. And like you said, Sun not going for the airy Zoe that we saw earlier in the day. I was surprised to see that. Wasn't sure exactly what made that the superior option. And hopefully, Sun, since he is primary with Electrocute, means we get to see some Ghost Poros. We got any Ghost Poros this game?
Oh, that's true.
Got a couple. We have Hail of Blades as well as the Domination. Lyra with it as well. Show me some Ghost Poros.
I think I saw one in someone's trinket slot earlier, but we'll have to keep an eye out here. Looks like instead, just a defensive ward there by OpTic. Did have Clutch's dual lane walk in the blue buff just to kind of hang out and see what was there.
Yeah,
to get some info though.
Ezreal pretty threatening level 1, just Q spamming. Sometimes make you back off your point.
And I'm gonna lose priority on the wave though, because as we can see, Fnatic did start red buff with some help from Aloran.
So there's a lot of wards on the top side actually, so they're gonna spot Fnatic going for this invade. I wonder if Lyra's gonna try and contest him at this blue buff. They ping him out. And there's the Ghost Poro. Ha!
Love it.
So Fnatic does have the Ghost Poro.
Ooh, look at this. The RNG has blessed him. Gonna take this blue buff and then straight to that crab for the bounty. Lyra's like, alright, I guess we'll take the other one. Great.
Or
gank bottom lane.
Now, they do have a ward to see this level 2 gank coming, but they are pushed up in the lane.
Also level 1. Oh, barely level 2 now for Eclipse, but they want the Jhin. That's the one that's worth the most. And Apollo does grab first blood.
And the 3 LCS veterans combine to say, welcome to Academy.
I mean, you said, you know, it's kind of like the NV days. That was basically Lyra, Apollo, and Hako doing a lot of heavy lifting.
And I really liked the way they played that, flashing over to make sure that he had no way out by Lyra, and then gets the W on top of him and body slams him back into his team with that brief knockback. All that pretty good play by them.
neutralizes the buff steal as well, as Lyra does pick up the blue. Watch just one again, though.
Yeah, both teams fighting for the level 2. CG get it first. Nice tongue lash for the slow. The flash over onto Eclipse. Eclipse knows he's dead after that. Doesn't burn any summoners. Doesn't burn heal, flash, anything. Good recognition by OpTic. Like, well, we got outplayed. Good path by Lyra.
Yep. Smooth stuff there. I think Fnatic was happy with his early fortunes, but Lyra going to be happy to pick that up as well. Fnatic, they're still entertaining this dive. MarkZ level 2. Alarm's level 4. I don't quite know how that happened, but MarkZ is going to have to be careful. Taking a lot of damage already. Now dings 3, but Fnatic just snipes him with Wolf. That last auto is enough for the kill.
Feels like with all the information that they knew about Fnatic being up on the top side, MarkZ was playing very defensive and not contesting the wave at all. And as a result, he's level 2 to the level 4 dive, doesn't hit level 3 till midway through the dive, and then gets taken down as a result. No W there during that dive, as you saw, to kind of prepare and slow someone underneath the turret. As a result, all of OpTic gets out just free.
Yeah, Aatrox's supposed to be pretty good in those early levels, but in that situation, tough for him to do much else. Does burn both summoners and still die. Unfortunately for MarkZ, along with the 10 CS lead, we'll see how that continues. Bot side pressure, though, probably going to mount as always for Apollo and Hakuho. Lyra still counter jungling, trying to keep Fnatic away from the camps.
Yeah, pretty good split map play out of Clutch for the most part. The mistake by MarkZ, if you can even call it a mistake, being the only issue with it. But Lyra's got his bot lane an advantage. Ezreal's got his tier. Apollo's going to be pretty happy. Says, thank you very much, Lyra. And you may now allow us to free farm for the next 10 minutes.
Well, looks like Palafox back to the lane, actually ahead by a little over a wave and a half. So Sun maybe losing some early trades here to the Orianna. Palafox continuing pretty good run of form for himself. Looks like Sun's trying to get out of this lane more than anything else. Doesn't really want to directly fight the Orianna. Palafox though trading nicely.
Palafox doing a good job controlling the lane. See how bad this gets for the Zoe. Lyra, everyone fighting over vision in this top river.
They're going to defend his ward for now. Bubble does hit. Sun actually got the proto buff, but a cleanse from Palafox might save him. Sun still moving forward, but now bot side. Gate trying to stun up Apollo. They are going to grab the kill, I think. Eclipse able to grab it. Gate, though, still low, but getting body blocked now by his AD, as Eclipse does protect Gate.
They lose a skirmish in the bot side and a skirmish up in the top side as well. Both members of the mid and jungle very low for Clutch Gaming. And like you said, in the bot lane, Apollo gets killed. And then a nice body block by Eclipse onto the potential tongue lash of Hakuho finding the stun. So he gets out just fine. In the meantime, looks like MarkZ was doing a little bit better in the top side.
Well, Sun, that was very silly. Does live, though. That last auto, not enough. And I think Airy was on vacation.
That was a very greedy play, like you're saying. Don't know if he was greeding out for a little extra gold, maybe trying to work on his lost chapter. But either way, here's the bot skirmish. We didn't see the start of it. And it looks like Apollo just gets headbutt pulve combo into a root chain. Not bad. And then Hakuho walks forward and just gets the flash stun. Bit of a misplay there as Hakuho spit him out in range for that to happen. Wanted to keep an auto attack range for Apollo. And just a small misplay, and OpTic answer back.
I think the Fnatic did actually pick up another bounty off that, so looking good. We've seen a lot of Kindreds today kind of get stalled out in the early game, but Fnatic seems to be off to a pretty good start. MarkZ also fighting up against Alorum, who's just trying to push the lane and get out, I think. Or at least go on adventures and get some vision down.
We'll have to see where it goes from here, because a number of Kindreds have gotten 2 stacks in the first 3 minutes of the game, 5 minutes of the game. It's about the 3rd and 4th and how quickly they get those. Ooh, nice Drowsy.
Real good. Hakuho gonna land it up. Paddlestar's there. Good combo in. But not enough follow-up CC or damage to try and confirm that kill.
But with that chunk out, might have secured them enough priority to look at this Ocean Drake. You see Tom Kench and Gragas working together. And MarkZ having what feels like a better time trading up in the top side. Hasn't got a recall off since that dive, though, so only sitting on a Ruby Crystal to the Balmy Cinders of Alorum.
Yeah, Alorum, I think, just hanging out and farming for as long as he feels comfortable doing. Fnatic now going to come mid. Another Drowsy here for Sun. He's also got an Ignite, but Portal Jumper was down, and Fnatic's in the lane. So instead, we'll move over to bot side. Gate getting aggressed on once again, but Eclipse spinning back around. Roots down Lyra. No ulti, unfortunately, for the Jhin, but probably not too far away. He's going to go down to this minion wave.
Yeah, but a nice timing on the Pulverize by Gate so that they can interrupt each other's CC. He gets stunned, Lyra gets knocked up, and then you can continue running on by. Hakuho cannot get enough stacks to get the stun off as well. And both teams disengage that situation just fine.
Lyra's got flash here though, so I think maybe they've overstayed their welcome. Lyra going to move in, get the slowdown onto Gate with a barrel. Now Gate's going to be the target, pops the stopwatch. True Shot Barrage is good for a bit of extra poke damage. Gate low, he's going to fall down. Now Hakuho going to try and finish it off, but Eclipse gets out of the way. Now pops the ulti. Hakuho going to have to tank these shots. Great ult from Lyra. But Hakuho, good flash, gets out from under the fourth shot. Holds onto the thick skin. He's trying to bet them in a little while longer. Does get some damage down, but the Shotclave's going to find two. Palafox, great angle, almost nabs Apollo as well.
And there's Sun, though. We're not quite out of the woods yet. See if he thinks he can find anything. Does get the Drowsy, but got hit pretty low by Eclipse.
Yep, no Paddle Stock cooldown up either, so Sun gonna have to keep continuing. Fnatic are gonna get chunked, but he pops a Lamb's Respite. Sun gets in there, he wants some healing as well. Lyra gonna move out as Fnatic dances out of the way, and now CG gonna TP back down around Eclipse, able to take down Sun, and Apollo's too late.
Big misplay there by Clutch Gaming to take that extended tray in the bot side. Sun could have disengaged, I believe, once he saw the Lamb's Respite come out, but he said, I want to take this fight, I think we have it, but it's still a 3v2, not able to find the kill. And I think OpTic could have gotten away with even more kills if they played that a little bit differently, but either way, it still worked out well in their favor for a fight that was initiated by Clutch Gaming.
Well, Max Strober continuing to take some pain here in the top side, but top laners are being stubborn with that teleport cooldown being increased. However, let's watch the action here in the bot lane once more.
Yeah, and here is that flash play you're talking about. Lyra might have been able to start it with that and just insta-give Gate with the help of Apollo. Not the case. They just find the first kill, but Eclipse gets out and has his ult. I was surprised to see him not target Lyra here. I guess he knew he had flash and didn't want to focus him, and just instead tanks the shots onto Hakuho. That flash out almost hit Apollo and killed him. Tries to hold the gray skin instead. They do get the chain CC combo. Not quite ready for that to actually land onto Apollo. I think they could have found that kill if they were both on the same page. And then here's the stun play that I was talking about. He wants to go in here and find an extra kill and gets really greedy onto Fnatic once that lands. And there, you see, he has the option to maybe run away, but instead just kites into this. Lyra follows on as well. Both guys realize, we probably shouldn't be here, and Lyra kind of leaves him out to dry, but it was already too late as they opted into that one as well.
Yeah, 2 kills for both bot laners, actually. So, first item should be on the way pretty quickly. Sun also with a broken stopwatch and a 2-level disadvantage right now to Palafox, who's had a very dominant lane on this Orianna. Fnatic also going to keep things going here for OpTic and take down the streak.
It's only on 1 stack, actually.
That's not good. I thought he was doing a lot better than that.
Yeah, not the case as the Kindreds continue, but he does have his jungle item completed pretty quickly here. So that's good, I guess.
See how it develops, but looks like the curse of Kindred bounties in Academy is continuing. Fnatic, little much. Maybe this is one to get. Oh, could be a ruse. Fnatic gonna get ulted back around. Almost enough damage cooking to the barrel.
Ooh.
Forced to flash the lash.
Oh.
Ult missing as well, just barely. Ooh, very nice devour there from Hakuho. Sun also chasing through. That was a fake flash.
It picked up Fanatics from before and then went for that little combo. Crazy little trade there. Lyra had a really nice barrel into his Q that set him up for a potential kill. The Apollo ult just barely missed. These trades are looking pretty good for Allura.
Yeah, I'm sure we missed a sweet spot after the chains. And Allura is just maybe a little too far ahead. That Phage helping out, dancing around. I mean, this is a pretty epic fight.
See, interactive laning phases I do like.
Except for the part where Allura hangs out in the brush and waits for you to walk against the wall he can slam you into. But that's a Poppy classic.
Yeah, that's just Poppy. As soon as you lose lane priority, it suddenly becomes significantly harder. As hold on here.
Poke, poke, Sun.
Got the flash to go forward one more time.
No ignite. Portal jump as well, but now has to use his real flash to get out of there.
Not able to find the kill, like you said, that ignite just coming back online. Might have been able to find that kill otherwise. Still cleanse and flash available for Palafox though, so he was not actually too scared about that potential all in.
And it is very close. I mean, OpTic are up a couple kills, about not quite 1,000 gold, but first strike still on the table. So lots to be collected here for either team. And I feel like we've really just seen a lot of different interactions in the lanes. Not too much objective or skirmishing happening. Maybe some action on the bot side as Eclipse will get his recall cancelled by Apollo.
Yeah, it was a bit weird based off where the first kills for Clutch came in. The kill in the bot lane might have baited them into thinking their bot lane stronger, but an Ezreal on tier taking that all in versus Jhin with Hail of Blades is not necessarily going to work out just because you got the early kill and you saw that kind of turn around their favor. Also a slight misplay, and then as a result, the game hasn't had any sort of defined play pattern where it's like this guy's stronger and is now going to dictate the game. It feels like all around the map, depending on the situation, anyone could take that fight.
Really cute there from Fnatic, who snuck into the brush and then waited for the recall and actually looking for the first turret, but here comes Haku and Lyra and Sun. But a shockwave from Palafox going to outplay it all. Lyra does get the ulti really nice, but Palafox just flashes out of the way. The bubble's going to miss. He almost got a kill, but he outplays 3.
Palafox with the fancy feet dodges as much as he can before being forced to finally flash, while still trading back pretty effectively and threatening a potential kill on Lyra. Nice play by him, still loses his flash as a result, but stays alive.
And stays in lane. Tonic probably helping him out here. He's going to chow down on the corrupting potions. Gate also roaming in just for a bit of extra protection. Might as well get the wave pushed in before you have to say adios.
Still also gets Targon stack, gets the passive off, and able to heal Palafox all the way back up to full. Very impressive stuff. Like you said, that time work tonic doing work. As Kindred, this whole time, unbeknownst to everyone, including us, the casters, Fnatic has taken the Rift Herald down.
First turret, another for grabs. OpTic already got that once. So looking for a turret as Gate forced to burn his ultimate. Gonna walk into a bubble. Nowhere good for him to go. Ooh, I tell a lie. That was quite the flash from Gate.
Yeah, nice job there. Looked like he thought potentially the ultimate by Alistar, which is a cleansed ability technically, would have broken the chains of Aatrox off of him, but he still gets pulled back afterwards. That tether's still going off, and so gets pulled back in and then has to flash away. Good try. Doesn't actually work that way, though.
Finds the tricky part of the wall to get over from red buff, though, so Gate finding the angle. MarkZ actually has finished his Black Cleaver, but so has Alorum.
And that, to me, is a bit of a question mark, question mark, question mark. Why do you have that, Alorum?
We may never know.
I'm trying to think about it. There's really not much armor on the enemy team. Your lane opponent will not be building armor. CDR is nice. Damage is nice. Move speed on attack is nice. Why not go Triforce then?
All right, Lyra going to start something off here in the mid lane. Shelly was used, but does take down the turret after one more swipe. Gate, though, left out to dry with no ulti. Oh, Lamp just fight might save him. Everyone's in the middle here. MarkZ just ready to try and rip through them. Palafox does die. Gate also down. It's going to force Alorum to flash away, but Apollo is going to chase. 2 kills there, over to CG.
Really smooth flash by Lyra. He saw the headbutt coming in to try and disengage that fight and actually flashed forward over it to continue to find it. They got onto Palafox, got that Lamb's Respite, and everyone is clumped up on top of each other. Palafox tried to ult everyone as it ended, but just not quite enough there to deal with all that, as I don't believe Alorum was actually in that fight. Let's take another look at this. Actually, both of them were making their way down. There's that flash over. That was really tricky. Anyways, they get the ult on the Palafox, and he has this escape cut off as MarkZ flashes the wall. There's the Lamb's Respite to try and keep Palafox and Gate alive. The Orianna Shockwave, but no one is actually low, as Lyra had already kind of left on the back end of that. And then there's this chase down the Alorum, but they can't find him. And just a nice flash over by MarkZ to cut off the Ori's escape. That interaction was actually very interesting. What happened was Gate went for a headbutt on Lyra, and Lyra was body slamming forward, and Lyra's body slam hitbox, I think, stunned Gate out of his headbutt, and then he flash forwarded after by Lyra and tried to get the body slam, but the hitbox was already eaten by the Alistar, so he just had to ult right away. Really, really weird series of events, because I thought if both of them hit each other, the headbutt would go through and the stun would go through, but instead it looked like only the stun was taken, and that interrupted the headbutt. I don't know. Crazy.
I'm sure we'll get more of this wild and wonderful with display interactions as Sun demonstrating some of his own power here. Looking for the snipe, doesn't quite follow on the Gate, who did have his ulti. Does get out of that situation.
Yeah, Sun not quite able to find that kill. Had the flash maybe to follow if he wanted. Maybe could have found another Drowsy through the wall, but is just content with chunking the enemy support down to 20% HP and using that to secure the Ocean Drake for themselves.
Yep, Clutch still looking good despite being behind in gold. They're going to even up this Drake. They're happy to find situations where they can apply pressure. Still a very close game here between these two sides.
Pretty good power spikes as well, with Apollo hitting his 2-item benchmark.
Oh, another great bubble there from Sun. Palafox going to be forced to cleanse out of that one.
Knew there was some big damage coming his way. Probably wouldn't have died from it, but did not want to take the HP chunk and fall behind in laning phase. So he burns the cleanse to get out of the combo that was coming in, because he doesn't want that to happen to him. Ooh.
Yeah, Alarm tried it. I guess maybe he was trying to follow through the portal, but the stun part definitely does not work.
I already saw one interesting interaction.
That's true.
I'm down for another one.
I mean, we've got Poppy, Alistar, and Gragas all in the same game with a Zoe, so there's some stuff that could happen.
Yeah, dashes that interact with each other with CC lead to some wonky interactions based off like, that frame my hitbox applied, but your hitbox was a frame too late, which is probably what happened in that other one.
Lyra gets a red buff. Looks like landing up for the next objective, but not up for a little bit. Baron will spawn in under a minute. We are approaching 20 minutes in this one, but that one's a little too far away to worry about too much. Palafox, I was worried for a second, but he has finished. His Luden's up now. Looks like he had the goal, but just hadn't spent it yet. So pretty much all even. With people moving either with past their 1-item spikes or onto their 2. Unless you're Apollo, whose kind of cheapness of the Manamune is kind of balanced out. Plus his 3 kills to give himself a bit earlier of a spike, despite the gold deficit that overall his team is in.
Right, but they have no turrets taken yet, so there is a fair amount of standing gold for them to catapult into the lead if they find a pick off, say, onto Palafox.
Hey, good one to get, Drowsy. Ooh,
oh my god.
The classic CC cancel. Palafox dies, Shockwave dissipates, and now Gate is going to get out of the way. Headbutts Hakuo, flashes out. Hakuo is still chasing. Gets some speed, try and speed. Gets a lick. Ulti popped. Just going to need a little bit more here. Gate, yep, knows he's dead. He's going to try and save the rest of his team. Will do so, but does die to Hakuo. Okay, stuff's happening. MarkZ, I think, maybe got a dash cancel. A little late to get stunned into the wall by Alorum, but
either way, there's only 2 kills at the end of that for Clutch, and this might be the time for them to finally try and break this turret. They have 3 in the mid versus 2 and 2 in the bot versus 1. Hopefully they can actually turn these into objectives for themselves as Lyra wants to go.
Yeah, tried to make it happen. Fnatic almost gets chunked out completely, but Lyra instead is going to be the one that dies. But Hakuo over the side, flashes in, ignites Fnatic with the shields from Palafox are going to keep him alive. Alorum now finds the stun. His Jhin bullets as Palafox able to finish off Hakuo before the thick skin can kick in. Sun tagged by the force shot there from Eclipse, but it's not enough for the execute.
That went horribly wrong. They grabbed the turret in the bot lane, which was nice, and then they tried to pull a dive off in the mid lane as they rotated there, but OpTic was not far behind. A really nice lambs for spite, and Alorum playing all that super well, finding the wall stuns to set his team up for kills. Very beautiful play by OpTic, who are able to neutralize what should have been a pretty bad situation for them. Now, they're not done. They want the Baron too.
Yeah, going to force on there. Fnatic got to control it in the back. They've got to, so Vision not here. MarkZ will finally see what's going on. But there's no way for them to really steal this. They're just going to have to try and fight. MarkZ already popped the ulti, gets kicked out by Alorum. Now it's just Apollo, ready again with the Ezreal to try and steal a Baron, but he cannot do it. Now it's just time to run. Drowsy not going to hit. Bit of damage there from the Paddle Star as MarkZ still trying to fight, but Fnatic gets out from under the chains. Apollo with another good ult for some extra poke damage, but
they're out.
OpTic going to get out.
And that was really beautifully played by OpTic, using all their disengage tools to keep any threat away from themselves. They knew the jungler wasn't going to be up, so they didn't have to use it for smite steal, so they just punt the Aatrox out twice to stop him from coming in. Gate does a good job body blocking, and all around, really smart play out of OpTic to get themselves a Baron on the tail end of a fight started by Clutch, who see Fnatic, nice jump forward to dodge that, and then almost enough burst with the Zoe, but the red buff does not take him down, and then they get even greedier as a Hakuho TP's in with his ultimate, but Palafox has now respawned and uses his shield to keep him alive. Sets up the shooting gallery from the right side here by Jhin. Doesn't kill some, but forces them down low enough that he has to go back to base before contesting that Baron buff.
All right, well, we talked about how close this game has been in gold. Still 1,000 up for OpTic, but they should be able to open a much bigger lead if they can make this Baron buff work for them in the next 2 minutes.
And they have, you know, some good ways to play around it. Poppy has had good pressure for the most part. Eclipse is starting to hit some big items. 2 so far. Will be working on his 3rd right after this. Ori as well having some flat pen. You know, they're starting to make some big leads. There you see a crit for about a quarter of Apollo's health bar.
Yep, Stormrazor rapid fire cannon. Pretty easy poke, weirdly, for Jin. Can just walk up and auto attack. Hail of Blades proccing also means that you get a good chunk of damage each time you go through that little rotation.
Despite all this, it does feel like Clutch is putting up a pretty good 4-man defense in the bot side, and Alorum up on the top side can't find anything. Wouldn't mind seeing a potential TP flank or something by one of these two teams.
Sun's still trying to poke in, but he doesn't hit any minions, so I think this turret maybe forfeit. Lyra actually not bad. Pops the clips in towards the team, but Gate runs interference, now pops the ulti. Drowsy in onto Palafox, who cleanses just near the end. Gate, though, going to get chunked down. Fnatic with an early Lamb's Respite, trying to protect their support. Now maybe a re-engage happening. Shockwave is good. Gate tries to find the combo, but Apollo flashed out of the way, and now Sun going to find the Drowsy in onto Fnatic. He's going to get crushed down. Lyra flashed in and grabs the double kill for himself. And finally, the TP's coming late for the top side. MarkZ here first. Hakuo going to get chunked down and taken out by Alorum, who, excuse me, did make it pretty early on. But the chains don't latch in for MarkZ. It's still 3v3, and OpTic feels strong enough to keep fighting.
Yep, fine, 2 kills there, and the TP's finally come in. No, there's Alorum!
Alorum flash stun finds Zoe. Clips on a killing spree as MarkZ still fighting forward, gets the knock up through. Resurrects here with the ulti on as Apollo finds a snipe onto Eclipse.
Really well played there by MarkZ. Lands the W and then flash Qs to get the knock-up to secure the W pullback. Does cost him his ultimate revive after that, so he can't keep chasing, but finds another kill to cancel out Alorum's nice play on that tower dive. And with 3 people dying on both teams in the bot lane, the turret is able to survive.
The Infernal Drake maybe not so lucky, but looks like it will live for the next round.
Really nice ult by Lyra to start things out and puts Eclipse kind of in full retreat mode as the rest of the team is chasing down. And then Sun lands 2 big sleeps over the course of this. One to force the cleanse out there, and they have a chase down on the Gate, who then forces the Lamb's Respite out. Nice double flash by Sun and Apollo. Make sure they don't get finished off at all by that ult by Palafox. And then the second big sleep onto Fnatic, who already lost his Lamb's Respite. Lyra trades his life out. And then this is the good turn timing because Alorum comes in, buys space for Eclipse, who had been running away the entire time, to finally be able to turn around and start raining that Jin ult down on top. And then they get really greedy for this next follow-up dive where Alorum goes for the wall stun. It's a really well thought out play, but MarkZ still has his ult available and kind of go for this counter engage where he lands the W onto Eclipse, who just kind of loses his mind for a second there. It's one of those things where when you're rapid fire cannon procs, your Hail of Blades procs, your Stormrazor procs, you're so fast, he just completely lost where his character was. There's no reason to run in front of your Poppy and past the turret at that point.
As a result, does go down, but in the replay there, that was quite a fun one. Drake did go over to OpTic despite a contest there for Clutch, but as we came out of replay, Clutch did take the mid outer turret. So starting to even back up again, still only 1,000 gold between the two, and that's with 1 Baron already cycled through this game.
Definitely a back and forth game. I have no confidence in either team right now to predict who will win. Both teams are having their players step up in different moments. Great Jin play for the first half of that replay, kiting out and getting the turnaround, losing himself a little bit. Alorum, good front lining. MarkZ, good opportunity. Lyra, good engage, then kind of goes for the kill. So everyone's having their ups and downs, even within a single play.
Yep. We have mentioned it already, though, but it's time to check back in with Alorum. He's got a pickaxe. I wonder what that's going to be.
Looks like a Steric's Gauge, I guess.
All right.
I assume with the Jorum's Fist and that going together.
Makes sense. Steric's Gauge Poppy, then?
Yeah, why not?
Everyone's a Juggernaut.
There
now.
it is. It is completed. Yeah, I mean, I don't like it.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean,
he's
a better player than me. I'm sure he has his reasonings for it. I just don't quite see the Steric's Gauge is less for me than the
than the Black Cleaver.
The Black Cleaver, where you're shredding armor and there's one dude with one.
He just got jealous. He's like, this build's sweet. Landing against Aatrox, he's like, let me do that. Let me get in on some of that Black Cleaver action.
Yeah, I guess. There's Ninja Tabby, a Glacial Shroud, and another Ninja Tabby, and a Knight's Vow, I guess. Like, yeah, you messed up that Tom Kench, I guess.
Find out. Alorum's still doing.
He's weakening their armor for the Jin, Mark.
Aha!
So he can one-shot with Jin. I hope that's not the thinking.
We may never know, but I will likely message you on Twitter after this night is done to try and find out.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind hearing the reasoning.
Someone out there will tell me. Mark tried. He did an okay job. There's OpTic now looking to pressure for the fight. Whoa. In the front side, not that tanky gets picked up by Gate of all people. Now 4v5 for quite a while. Hakuo dead for 30-ish seconds.
Good job, they shredded his MR, or armor, excuse me. They're able to use that to find the kill. Now, Clutch looking for the turnaround themselves.
Yeah, Sun continuing to find good bubbles. The ult forced up by Fnatic, but Gate looking for the re-engage. Apollo does get the kill. MarkZ's passive gonna proc out of the ulti, but needs to live. Lyra does get pulled back into the wall, but Sun, once again, finds the bubble onto Palafox and chunks him down.
Zoe showing why she's such a priority champion at all points, just able to turn fights around. Kind of like that old Nidalee where you just land one spear and suddenly the whole situation's different. One chunk out on the Palafox means there's no way they can chase down afterwards. Eclipse had the opportunity to snipe out MarkZ. I believe that would have killed him, but just mistimed it barely. People probably don't play enough against Aatrox to know the exact timing of when he comes out of the intangibility of his revive, and unfortunately can't find that kill.
Yep. Also, unlike other statuses, you can move during Aatrox revives.
Yeah, it definitely makes it a little more difficult to time it as well as aim it. But good skirmish by both teams. They're trading 1-for-1.
I mean, this is just kind of the theme of this game at this point. We're almost 30 minutes through. We're dead even on kills. We're dead even on turrets. The goal is 600 between the two, but mostly irrelevant given where we are. OpTic, yeah, they have an Infernal Drake up. That'll be nice as this game will continue to move on it. And we are going to be going maybe a little bit later than expected. But, I mean, all these fights have been even. I think it's just speaking to the play of these two teams.
Yeah, and this is what we said last game as well. Looked like it was going to be an even long game. One ace at 32 minutes kind of ended it. Could be a very similar situation here. Feels very touch and go. A lot of these fights feel like it's close to breaking open for either team. And it's kind of obvious based off the fact that the supports, each of them kind of have half their team's deaths almost, that they're playing the front line, they get bursted down, and then there's just not quite enough of a good play to set things up as Gate going for the long con.
He has found quite the angle here on this play. Who's the target? Must be Apollo, but I don't know if they can pin him down. MarkZ going to lock him up instead. Actually does do a good job running interference, and now MarkZ is caught out of the way. Pops the ulti again, going to try and fight, but he's forced to run out from the Resurrect Alorm on the other side, tanking on the front side. MarkZ needs to get out of there, but sniped by Eclipse. Just barely. Palafox again cleanses off the bubble. 4v5 once more.
Yeah, one kill, but what else can they get with it? They used a fair amount of resources on that. They still have the Poppy ult, Kindred ult, and Ori ult, so perhaps they can start this Baron off, but still pretty dangerous. Lots of ults available for Clutch as well.
Yep, Clutch checking for the bait. Alorm going to go back. Ooh, that would not have been a bad check. Alorm also looking for a TP flank, waiting.
Lots of wards down the river. They ping the one in the actual mid lane as the one they potentially want to TP on, so they start the Baron, debate it. Alorm sitting in base, waiting for that angle.
Yep. Again, Sun throwing in bubbles, but OpTic is staying pretty far off this Gate, looking to go back in, but he dies. His ult was up as well, but Alorm maybe has found the flank they need. Pops it up again, gets the stun, do move down Hakuo, but not really the target they wanted. Lyra, though, forced to run away. Again, Sun finds Palafox. And now Fnatic forced to use the ulti. MarkZ diving back in again, but he doesn't have World Ender. Eclipse takes down Sun. All that poke is down, but MarkZ still fighting in, and Apollo ready to pick up a couple stragglers. There's one. Lyra able to get the kill. Apollo going to grab the double, and Clutch finally find a decisive team fight win.
OpTic wanted to bait the Baron with the man advantage that they had, but it took them too long to pull the trigger on the play. MarkZ revives, is able to TP in and provide the extra front line they need to ace OpTic at the Baron and continue and finish it off for themselves.
Well, we talked about how close the game was, but this will open up a decent lead now for Clutch. The gold's still not quite reflecting that, but what they can get off of this.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of turrets for them to potentially force down. You see the TP coming in, but Gate went too soon, so he's already blown up. And now it's Alorm by himself trying to find an angle, and Apollo and Sun just weren't quite close enough to the wall for those stuns to work, so he goes for Hakuo instead. They find it, but Lyra's out. They're respawning back in, and then they're able to chase down here. MarkZ frontlining just well enough that they could not chase down. They actually do find the kill under the Zoe, but Apollo alive for the chase down. Lyra, nice double body stun. That's all she wrote.
It was like 4 flashes cascading in a row after the end of that. And also in the replay, Clutch did take the bottom inhibitor turret down as well. They now have access to an inhib to try and siege up. They get the Drake, so they even that back up as they grab the Cloud. Looks like a quick reset here, but still 2.5 minutes left to push out on the map, and Apollo is so strong.
Yeah, Apollo really is the big carry for the side of Clutch Gaming. He died only once in that one laning phase, bumble, I guess you could say. And since then, he's been doing a great job in this game as the primary backline DPS. Sun as well has actually landed a fair amount of big paddle stars to kind of shape fights, not grabbing as many kills, but still being a very large influence. I'm sure his damage numbers at the end of the game will reflect that. All around, good team effort by both teams. That's why it's been such a close game.
Side lane pushing in the bot here. 2 minutes still left on the Baron. And Clutch, I think, maybe have the top push moving as well. So looking to siege this mid-tier 2 right now. I think at this point you really do expect to break at least one inhib is what you're looking for. We'll see how the defense looks for OpTic.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they choose to put someone down the bot side. Because like you said, with that inhibitor down and Baron buff, you might want to go for it. Grabbing these inners is nice. It's a good way to extend your lead up to now 5K, but not quite the game ender you're hoping for after getting an ace in a Baron.
Instead, actually moving with the Tom Kentrell up to the top lane. Trying to get something started there instead. Maybe Clutch think that they just take the turrets now with the Baron and then walk in at the end to try and take off the inhib. See what the thinking is.
It could be the case where they just want to grab as much standing gold as they can on the map before, like you said, 5-man sieging the bot lane. There's going to be a while before any other neutral objectives are left up, so that is an option, but I would not have minded seeing the more aggressive play for inhibitors themselves.
Saw a blue ping, so I think maybe they're heading there now. Wave looks to be restacking as well.
Yep, so they still have 50 seconds. It's going to be about a single wave at this point, maybe two if you're lucky. I like the decision not to back off. All still very healthy with basically full mana on everyone. Use this as soon as you can. Make the most of this Baron buff. And maybe if the enemy team flubs an engage or a fight, you can just end the game.
Left Max Strobo mid as well. It's actually a pretty nice push up here for Clutch. Max Strobo just going to threaten, cut the wave in, and let the Baron cannon do its work. A little trickier for Zoe to find angles in this open of a space, but all Clutch needs to do is slowly poke down this inhib. Nice dodge there from Apollo. Goes right out of the deadly flourish from Eclipse.
Ooh, does eat the chunk by Orianna, though. That was the tough part of having to constantly dodge that. Now, his team is going to body block for him. They're going to back off, probably just use the Baron recall to reset quickly, as that push was basically slapped down by Palafox by himself.
Seems like they're not too happy with that idea right now, though, because 4 of them did stay bot lane, but Max Strobo was caught mid with Lyra, and he doesn't have teleport.
Guess they're deciding the Ocean Drake and Apollo life-stealing off the Gromp was enough to make them not want to back off here. He's back up to full.
Max Strobo again still keeping things busy here with Alorum. So 4v4 perhaps. Alorum actually already starting things off. A lot of damage here. They're going to rotate over with Tom Kench. Apollo also here. But the ult actually moves them back away. Max Strobo now forced to run away, but Lyra with a decent ult to try and buy time. Two-shot barrage going to get some poke damage down, but not too much. Sun also going to miss that next bubble, so Siege is called off for Clutch. They did not take that inhib.
Yeah, good job by OpTic, finding moments to get aggressive and force them away from that inhibitor. The first time they chunk out Apollo, he has to go spend some time life-stealing up instead of sieging. This time they jump on the one-man part of the 4-1, and they are able to force both teams to kind of converge on that instead of sieging the inhibitor down. So once again, this game very, very close despite the gold lead now swinging heavily in Clutch Gaming's favor. They still are at most of their important item breakpoints. Ori at 3 items, the Jhin at 3 items, Poppy at 3 items, almost 4 now. So everyone has kind of hit their breakpoints, and you will get stronger from here, but it's not like a substantial lead. Apollo is basically max item from here on out.
Yeah, he's done. So we're going to have to wait for the execution and these next big objectives that are spawning. 2 minutes or just under till Baron and Elder Dragon will be available for the taking. Spawning around the same time can always be fun. Both these teams with equal number of Drakes, so are we looking to prioritize pretty carefully as those spawn back up, because I don't think the game is going to end in a minute 30.
Yeah, I think they're going to end up doing some dances around these objectives, and I like Clutch Gaming a lot more for those. The Zoe and Ezreal able to chunk people out, as well as the fact that they already have the vision control means they'll get to dictate when and where this action happens.
Apollo actually trimmed the bot wave here with his ulti, so trying to get something started here. OpTic though looking for a fight. Lauren rushing forward with the ball on top, but can't get the engage.
Yeah, tough team to engage on. Aatrox is able to live forever if he chooses to. You have Gragas, who can ult people away. Tom Kench to save people. Ezreal's very shifty. So it's very difficult for OpTic to actually find a target that they're happy and able to engage on.
Clutch instead just kind of waiting patiently for these minion waves. They have time to kill. They can wait for these objectives to spawn and then take one quickly. I mean, there's a lot for Clutch to really play for around the map here. That bottom inhib eventually will be threatened by the wave that's building, and OpTic are trying to find an angle before that's going to be a big problem.
Fortunately for them, this is really well timed by Clutch. That ult by Apollo has kind of primed this wave perfectly. It's got to clear out this minion wave, which it's finishing off, and there's one more minion wave that's going to chew through, and while that's happening, someone's going to need to go down and deal with it, and I would expect Clutch to move up to the Baron at that time and start forcing some action.
Elder Dragon's up first, though, so that's actually where they're going right now. 2 blue trinkets here for OpTic, but Dark right now in the river. They're actually going to move Trobo and Apollo down to try and take the objective.
Yeah, going for the 2-man. Lyra's playing zoning duty, so they hope they are not able to contest it. You can see how they're able to take that just fine with those 2.
Now they know both blue trinkets being used, and still the bot wave is big there on that side.
Uh-oh.
Lyra, though, can move over first, so they get the Elder Dragon. I mean, Time Kench is here. There's no way they're going to get this Baron for free.
Yeah, Apollo's actually TPing over to get into this a little bit faster. And you see, they are going to try and hard commit for it.
Ooh, Lyra just used the ulti. Can't get in the pit, though. They might get the Baron, but what are they going to lose for it? Fnatic able to get it. Gato getting low, going to pop the Lamb's Spite already over the wall. Shockwave is good. Hits on a 3. Might be the turnaround they need, but Max Trobo takes down Fnatic. Lyra low, but he gets devoured by Hakuo. And now it's Aloran trying to fight somebody, gets the bottom and runs away from the situation. Clutch Gaming get out, and they're still threatening that inhib. It's actually dead to minions.
That's what we're talking about, that well-timed push, but they did not really punish that OpTic Baron trade too hard. They find the 1 kill onto Fnatic. They're going to need to keep pushing this to get more off it. That's why Lyra's going mid lane right now to try and instantly move and get something while they have this man advantage. They have to be careful, though. Max Turbo's down his ult, did have to recall back and will TP most likely to join in. They don't have a minion wave for quite a while now, though.
Yeah, I think Clutch smart to stay on the map a little bit longer, but I don't know what else they can do. Fnatic back in 15 seconds, and they don't have Baron for this siege. Gate actually going to get onto Hakuo's son, taking so much from a clip.
Oh my god!
Actually going to die to the grenade. Now Aloran going to try and chase down and get himself another kill. Ult not back up for a little while longer, but Hakuo does get stunned into the wall. Still CG trying to turn it back around. Hakuo popping the grey skin. It's actually a 4v4 team fight that they are going to take. Palafox, Shockwave almost there. Eclipse takes down Lyra.
See the power of the Poppy being this unkillable front line right now for Clutch, who, if they're fighting front to back, the Orianna providing the extra shield, speed up, and resist to the Poppy, who's already the best tank in the game, makes it nigh impossible for Clutch to win a fight like that, as well as the fact Max Trobo and Lyra were actually in the mid lane trying to get that started. Just some really unfortunate positioning on this bouncing grenade, which I think stacks off the wave a little bit. Nope, just straight auto Q, the crit damage dropping him all the way down to about 400, and that being enough. And then here's Aloran just charging forward, and there's not really much they can do to him. They drop a lot of damage down. First they focus Gate, who gets the ult, then Aloran charges forward. Full retreat mode, as the Elder Dragon burn on only 2 Drakes is really not enough to deal significant damage to a 3-4k HP Poppy.
No, and they can't get to the carries either over the wall, so OpTic play it well. Defend most of their base. Still just that bottom inhib that has been exposed. Gate again, trying to find Sun for a combo. Sun actually looked up for a while, but Hakuo does find the Devour angle. Only Max Trobo pulled back in by the Shockwave. He's going to pop the ulti to stay alive for sure. Drowsy there onto Aloran. No follow-up damage there really in time. Sun does get some poke off, but it's not too much. OpTic going to play with this Baron for a minute longer. Oh my god, Sun.
Dangerous. This Jhin is so fast, gets the long-range crit off from rapid fire cannon, and then runs away so fast it's hard to punish that positioning. So almost found Sun with the same trick that got him up at that top turret just a moment ago. This time the damage wasn't quite there, but this Jhin is pretty gnarly now at 100% crit chance. Working on a Hex Drinker will finish that off, and then most likely, assuming he still has more gold after that, we'll swap out the Storm Razor. We'll have to see, though, because it is a pretty critical part of the speedy build. We'll see how much he keeps it, or if he chooses to go for something higher damage, arguably like a Bloodthirster. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do rightfully consider Jhin as like a pretty poke-heavy marksman, but not usually with the auto-attack part. That's the last thing you do once you're in range after poking them, but Eclipse is just walking up with everything fully energized and unleashing every single time he gets a chance to.
Yeah, I mean, he has a great front line, too. Just follow behind Alorum. They're not going to want to contest him at all, so it buys him that space to get some of these auto attacks off, and you see what he does with them.
Apollo going to go over a ward, but not really a safe time to try and sweep it away. Tries to trim the wave, gets some damage onto the melee creep. Doesn't quite get the back bot side wave either. Supers though are continuing to pressure, so OpTic's mid push is going to be halted. And again, we're kind of back to one team fight territory, despite the gold lead that Clutch still have. Means basically nothing at this point in the game. Everyone's stocked up.
I mean, Ezreal was the one who was super far ahead in a large portion of that gold lead. He hit max items, like we said, 5 minutes ago, so he's not growing anymore. 22,000 gold at this point, you know, doesn't need all that. Next closest in the game is sitting at 18,000, 4K behind essentially, so you can see how everyone else is continuing to power up, but Clutch's main carry has already peaked.
Another siege attempt starting here though, still some supers pressuring the bottom half of the map. Clutch trying to finally use their poke comp as intended as they siege up a turret. Although I'm getting drowsy. Not even an objective to really fall back to. Apollo's getting desperate. These tanking turret shots just to hit it a couple times.
There's plenty of lifesteal, as we've seen with the Blade of the Rune King, topping him off a couple different times now. As well as the Ocean Drake just wants to get these turrets down any moment that he can, because it does feel like, for how big of a lead they've had, this has been unbelievably difficult for Clutch.
Oh, good bubble there onto Fnatic. No follow-up though there for Sun. Two-shot barrage actually does get a bit of extra poke in there, like that from Apollo. Max Trobo was also topside for a little bit, just continuing to apply more pressure, but Fnatic made it back to the fountain, and Clutch, it's going to be a long siege with no major buff up for a minute 40. That's when Baron will be back.
Yeah, and the inhib respawn now, so a little less pressure that's automatically being applied for Clutch now. And they have to be careful, because there's been a couple times Eclipse has snuck in these auto attacks on people who walk forward to auto the turret.
Even that grenade is going to get some damage down. Apollo getting kind of chunked out. Hardcore getting slowed. Lyra may have to disengage here. Gate in, but he's got the ulti ready. Clutch do not take the bait as the Asta gets in aggressive.
Yeah, but that's a pretty critical ability down. Actually, never mind. No ultimate by Gate.
Yeah, just Eclipse. He was trying to get some poke in.
Yep, so Eclipse's ultimate, while very important in team fights, is a relatively low cooldown, and Jhin functions just fine without it. Game continues to stall out.
Yeah, almost 46 minutes in. I think this is on track to be the longest game of today. It's certainly been one of the closer exchanges.
Yep, and you gotta say, for a team that's fielding 3 LCS players of the former 4th place team, this has been a little bit disappointing of a showing. I mean, Apollo's been playing great, Hakuho's been pretty good, Lyra's been pretty good, but you would think the 3 synergy of them together would be enough to propel them over OpTic. And it's just not working out for them, which is a little disappointing, I'd say, for what we expect when we see LCS players playing in Academy. We talked about Meteos having that awesome Trundle performance, despite losing some skirmishes, still having the veteran shot calling and playmaking to keep generating leads. Not really working out for Clutch.
Yeah, certainly credit to OpTic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone has been playing well here. I think Alorum and Palfox in particular for me have looked good, but everyone is performing as Baron is back up and ready. It's OpTic that are there first.
Going for the rush again.
Lyra might try and get in there for a steal. Again, just the poke coming in. They're going to have to try something here. Lyra, they're going to get headbutt out. Shockwave ready to go. Gets popped up with a Poppy ult, so that should be Baron over. It is. Fnatic able to get it. Max Trobo, though, trying to run interference in the line for a spite. Alorum finds Sun once more, but Apollo Legendary has already taken down Fnatic. And there's the resurrect there for the Aatrox. Gate trying to cut it out, but he dies as well to Apollo, who could be lining up a Penta, but still, they need to kill these carries. Max Trobo goes in, does use the stasis, but Apollo almost does in one shot to Eclipse. Sun finally gets to pick up their own to Alorum, but into the bubble there for Eclipse. I think Clutch, they finally managed to seal the game with an ace so late into this game. And you can tell Apollo TP's in instantly. He wants this game to be over.
Finally, after almost 50 minutes, Clutch Gaming find their second ace of the game. This time, going to be all they need to close it out. After OpTic went for the risky 50-50 Baron, they won the smite, but they were trapped in the pit and lost the fight after.
Yeah, they're going to lose their Nexus as a result. Clutch battle very hard against OpTic, but they'll finally pick themselves up a win.
very back and forth game. The kills, I think that was the largest separation we had seen, 21-16, a mere 5 kills separating these teams at the very end of a 50-minute game. You could tell how back and forth that was.
But an important win for Clutch to get as well. They wanted to 2-0 this week to separate themselves in Academy from that big tie. And despite the fact that the second win took quite a long time, they did manage to achieve that.
Yeah, and it was not nearly as clean as, like we were saying, you would hope for a roster full of LCS players now. And they had some big plays early on. Apollo should have got really far ahead. That looked like it might start snowballing in their favor. Didn't quite work out that way. They made their own mistakes, and then from there was trading kills and turrets all over the map.
And later on, we are going to be hearing from Clutch bot laner Apollo, but let's recap some of the game before we get there. Have a look at a replay, 20.5 minutes in. Clutch trying to get their stuff done behind this turret.
Yeah, they were doing pretty well, kind of controlling the game up until this point where they really tunnel on trying to find some kills on this dive. They lose 1 on the initial attempt, and then Hakuho TP's in. He gets baited out. Palafox had respawned, was able to protect the Kindred, and then they find 2 kills, and with the dead jungler and a dead support, it's pretty easy for them to actually go and turn on this Baron. Good zoning plays by OpTic here. They get punt out first by the Alistar, the second punt out by the Poppy, and that's Baron down. That was one of the major ways that we were hoping to see Clutch Gaming able to close that one out. It's just stalled the game for a pretty extended period of time.
But that was not the first Baron that happened either. 31 minutes into the game, Clutch Gaming Academy, they got an ace, which finally led to a Baron of their own.
And this is one of those plays that kind of kept happening after the midpoint where OpTic is trying to force around Baron, and they're just not quite clean enough in their execution. They had found a pick off onto Max Trobo, and so they're trying to bait around this Baron, but it's taken them a really long time to find it. 10 seconds left on the respawn is when this TP basically finally completes, and Gate's already dead. They're not quite synergized on the play. Alarum doesn't find the angle actually onto any of the important members, so while they kill Hakuho, both backline members are still alive. Sun finds a really nice angle onto the Orianna, which chunks them out, forces the Lamb's Respite, and then Max Trobo, like we said, respawns, rejoins the fight, and now Apollo's able to kind of run wild with his frontliners back available. He and Lyra comboing together very well, and this was kind of the Apollo show this game. He was really the one cleaning up all the kills, but like I said, you have to credit Sun for a lot of the damage in this game. You saw he went over the wall with his ult to send a trouble bubble through a wall to get it onto the Orianna. Some really nice angles being played by him there.
Yeah, in general, both teams playing very well as a team, but we have one more replay, and oh look, it's another Baron fight. It is, of course, the final fight of the game. It took a lot, and they didn't get the Baron, but Clutch did win the war.
Yeah, it was very tough. They have a hard time getting involved here with all those tools to kind of punt people out. You see their Gate goes in, and they kicked Lyra out twice, but that's so many tools being used to disengage a Baron steal and not being used for knockups. It would be great if they had a Poppy ult now to maybe go onto Apollo, who's kind of running wild in this fight. But instead, Alorum went over the wall to try and 1v1 Sun. Really not what Poppy should be doing in this fight. If he was over up there providing a front line for the Orianna, which is how they were winning those fights, maybe they could have kited this one out. Instead, it doesn't quite work out. And Hakuho finds an angle onto the Jhin to kind of set up those kills. There's that final fight. You see how much damage Apollo and Hakuho were doing. Eclipse on the other side, no joke in this game as well, despite kind of that early problem in laning phase. Bounced back super well. Very close game between both teams.
Alorum's damage also pretty high, so maybe something to be said for Juggernaut Poppy, but we won't touch that today.
He looked plenty tanky. At no point was I like, man, that Poppy's not living long enough. So, I mean, as much as I was kind of scratching my head at the Black Cleaver build, it still did its job for all I could see.
Yeah, Alorum's certainly playing pretty well. I think Sun, extra credit after watching that team fight again. I mean, I don't agree with the decision necessarily for Alorum to try and 1v1, but Sun won his 1v1 against the frontliner and then still managed to contribute to team fights over walls during that Baron fight.
Yeah, definitely a situation where, you know, Apollo was kind of the eye stealer. If you're watching him, getting all those kills, looks like he's dominating the game, had the highest damage in the game at the very end as well. But a lot of those fights had Sun having 1 or 2 critical paddle stars to force abilities out or to chunk people out.
Well, to get more insight on that victory, I'd like to welcome Apollo for an interview via Skype. Apollo, you must be feeling quite tired.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm okay. It was a fun game, a long, fun game.
Glad to hear you had fun. You in particular picked up a lot of kills. So what was it like kind of being the primary carry for your team this game and the pressure that was on you?
I mean, it was good. Their draft was like a little bit weird, so it felt like Ezra was like just a really good pick into the draft. So I think I had like a lot of tools to help me, and then obviously like Lyra ganked our lane like a few times, so I pretty much had like a lot of the resources. So it was just my job to carry that game.
And I guess from there, given that, you guys had such a good early start, did you expect the game to kind of get delayed as much as it did in the mid-game?
Yeah, I mean, no, I didn't think we were supposed
Yeah.
to delay that game. It was like, yeah, basically we like threw a few times, well, not through, but like we made like the wrong decisions a few times, and then especially after we like traded Baron and Dragon, that like stalled the game out essentially like another like 8 minutes, which is a long ass time. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't that good. It wasn't like a clean win, but it was still okay. We played the team fights well at the end of the game, so.
Definitely the case. And I think we, of course, have to ask the question, what can you tell us about the roster moves that are going on? Because I think it was a surprise for a lot of people to hear that the 3 veterans of old Envy were playing in the Academy League this week.
Yeah, I mean, we're not performing very well in LCS right now, so it was pretty much just like a decision that was made that we need to switch things up a bit to see if we can get more wins, because right now everything is super close and we need to make playoffs, no matter what it takes. And they figured that this was the best chance, or like this was something that might be able to help us. And it sucks that I don't get to play in LCS. I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't suck, but if this is gonna help us improve, if this was gonna like get us to that playoff position, then I'll do what I have to do.
And I'm curious, how closely are you working with? Oh, how close did you work? Sorry, with the academy members that are now playing in those positions, like Piglet, obviously a very storied AD carry player. But how much interaction have you had with him and maybe the rest of those guys?
um, I don't interact with Piglet too much, but it's more like we've been obviously playing a lot more with each other now, and like having like different rosters and changing different rosters up, right? So we're definitely working with each other a lot more. But like I think between me and Piglet, I don't think we like do anything special. We're not like talking about each other's strategies too much.
And I guess as someone that's been around the league for a while, I'm kind of curious. Obviously, it's a very different world now with franchising. With like, you can make so many more changes with having to have an academy team. I guess just as a veteran who's been around for so long, apart from the fact that you're in the system right now, do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think it's cool that there are kind of all these changes and dynamic things happening in the leagues?
In terms of the franchising, or like,
Just the
I guess
general.
yeah. In terms of franchising, it's
Oh, sorry.
yeah. In terms of franchising, it's good. I mean, I like all the changes that are being made. I think there's a lot more like professionalism to it, especially the difference from, I mean, like even like comparing academy, or I guess challenger scene back then to what it is now. It's like just a lot more professional and a lot more like resources that are put into it.